From the window, I watched the free zone unfold. I put my Ausweis back in my wallet next to photos of the family. I took them on the Sunday before I left. Grandma happily posed, but Mom refused to look at the camera. She didn't want me to go. I'm her only son, and she's always been overprotective. The Chantier was Dad's idea. He said to her, "You'll see, my dear. He'll be in the free zone, and I'm sure he'll eat much better than we do." The days when we wanted for nothing at home are long gone. So Dad won the argument. After the meal, he muttered, "Besides, it certainly won't be worse than my experience of the Great War." Mom cried a little. I look out the window again. On this side, I feel a little less suffocated.
Thanks to the Chantiers de la Jeunesse and the work done by the young recruits, class divisions were broken down and French youth received physical and moral training. Every 3 months, new contingents joined the different groupements, or units. They were supervised by demobilized officers and NCOs under the leadership of General de la Porte du Teil. There were 46 groupements of 1,500 to 2,500 men scattered across the unoccupied zone, and 7 in North Africa.
When we got off the train, we realized we were 7 volunteers to have come from the occupied zone. We're going to the 27th Groupement near Foix. Everyone has their story. I tell them about my cousin Pousse, Michel Pousse. He's a distant cousin who lives in the area. The last time I saw him, I was a kid, and he had just joined the Navy. When the Chantier was founded, he was made a supervisor of the 27th Groupement. When I decided to volunteer, Dad wrote to him. He promised to look out for me, so while the 3 Chantier guys tried to count us, I look for him among the uniforms, but it's a bit chaotic. A motorbike pulls up. Cousin Pousse is on the back. I can't believe it. Why, he looks like a movie star. The driver is his friend Roger Barthélemy. He told me as he introduced us. He bursts out laughing when I insisted on taking a photo. They gave me a military salute and rode off. It's an 8-kilometer walk to Brassac camp.
Despite the abolition of conscription and the Germans' constant surveillance, the Chantiers de la Jeunesse were organized along military lines. There were no regiments, but groupements, and teams rather than sections. The uniforms, ranks, and rituals were reminiscent of the army. Flag raising, songs about the greatness of France, physical exercise and discipline were all part of the young recruits' daily routine. Around a command post in the middle of the countryside, the camps stretched for several kilometers and housed the teams whose only arms were axes and shovels.
My beloved Mom, dear Dad. We have only just received our monthly allowance of 2 stamps, and everyone has started writing. Some very diligently. A bit like Cousin Pousse when he does the groupment's accounts. He's taken me under his wing. He and Barthélemy are on the management team. He's asked me to join them and oversee maintenance and admin. To thank him, I immortalized him and his team. Barthélemy was so pleased that he's made me the groupment's photographer. If the pictures are good, they might be published in the groupment's magazine Hardy. As for the rest, Dad was right. We pretty much eat our fill here. But I'm finding dorm life hard. I'm not used to living in such close quarters. Other than that, everything is fine. 1,000 kisses. Your loving son, Jean. In my letter to my parents, I also slipped the group photo we took just after we got our uniforms. I put a little cross above my head. We cut a fine figure. Sometimes I catch myself sticking my chest out, as if a uniform could change you on the inside too.
The Vichy regime called for a national revolution, and the Chantiers de la Jeunesse was the perfect propaganda tool. Marshal Pétain and his ministers wanted to erase the memory of a defeated and decadent nation to celebrate another France. An eternal France rising again, like these strong, passionate and joyful youths. The Chantiers camps were cut off from the rest of the world. They embraced a back-to-the-land ethos and rural values.
Dear parents, Dad would be proud to see how disciplined we are. First thing in the morning, we raise the flag according to protocol. A leader calls out to us with these words, "Youth always." With one voice we reply, "Ready." You should hear 100 men cry this in unison. Our leaders say we are working for France, and I must admit that fills me with enthusiasm. Some teams cut wood in the forest, others build roads to replace the dirt tracks. In Argex, we've even built a dam and power plant. We make charcoal too, to make up for the shortage of fuel. I often accompany the teams into the valley to photograph their work. Everyone is thrilled. As soon as I point my camera at a guy, 4 or 5 others appear out of nowhere carrying their tools. This afternoon, the guys insisted I photograph their team. A man called L'Archer persists in calling me the Parisian because of my accent. He's a loudmouth, but nice all the same. I keep telling him I'm from Rouen, but it makes no difference. The fact is, everyone here has a nickname. Camarin, who's 20 but looks 12, is Cherub. For all of us, Trémont, although he looks nothing like the actor Jean Gabin, is Lady Killer. L'Archer, who's a chatterbox, is 30 mouths. And poor old Lardouin has been dubbed Eagle Eye. In the evenings, we read Hardy. It's our only link with the outside world. In the latest issue, there are pictures of Marshal Pétain visiting another groupement. I spent ages looking at them. Maybe one day we'll be lucky enough to march past him too.
The Reich's armies were fighting on several fronts, and the war machine was in full swing. Many German workers were called up. The country faced a serious manpower shortage. The Germans demanded 250,000 men from France. Pierre Laval, the head of the Vichy government, negotiated. He offered Germany 150,000 men. For every 3 volunteers who went to work in Germany, 1 French prisoner of war was allowed to return home. This scheme was known as the Relève.
Today, just before a morning workout, D'Artigot woke the whole dorm by blowing a horn. Since he heard his brother is home from Germany, he's uncontrollable. The guy celebrated the news by forming a pyramid on the parade ground. Maréchal, the strongest of the gang, formed the base. He looked like Christ holding the 2 thieves by their feet. I told him. He answered right back that there was a cross, but not the one I was thinking of. That's when I saw the Lorraine cross. I turned around to see if someone had heard. Maréchal laughed. We work half the day, and the rest of the time, we run, jump, and climb. I don't think I've ever been so fit. Martaillet, a pal who arrived with a previous contingent and records everything in a notebook, is categorical. His chest has grown 2 centimeters in 6 months. For Martaillet, there's a reason for all of this. He thinks they may be secretly preparing us for retaliation. He insisted the 2 of us strike a warlike pose. Barthélemy took the picture. But I pointed out that, for now, all we have to go to war with are daggers and songs. Martaillet laughed, and that evening, we sang our hearts out around the campfire.
On November the 8th, 1942, the Allies invaded French North Africa. A few days later, the French forces ceased resistance and joined them. This was a turning point in the war. On November the 11th, the German army retaliated by crossing the demarcation line. Jean Sarda found himself once more in an occupied France.
November 20th. Dear Mom, why write me such an anxious letter? See how relaxed I am in this photo? I promise you we're safe. The Germans came to inspect our camps, and they assured our leaders that nothing would change. Marshal Pétain is still in charge. Yesterday, we even did our weekly 20-kilometer walk. We took along Victoire, Dalabert's dog, who has become our mascot, and we had a bite to eat just like normal. Don't worry, my dearest Mom, and tell Dad that, like him, I have faith in our Marshal. Relaxed like hell. Last night in the dorm, we spoke of nothing but the news. I ventured that Marshal might leave for North Africa. Larcher was next to me. He shrugged his shoulders. No one knows what's going to happen. And to think that I came here to get away from the Germans. The air is tense. At noon, from the mess room window, I overheard a heated conversation between Cousin Pouce and Barthélemy. They didn't seem to agree. I automatically pressed the shutter release. On the plateau, Larcher's team has been cutting wood all week. Larcher is very annoyed. He barely looked at me and he barked, "He's great, your Marshal. We already have the Germans and their Gestapo in Foix." He says we can't carry on playing scouts in the woods until the end of the war. Out of anger, he started sawing a branch as if it were Jerry's neck. I took a picture, but Dufour glared at me. I think I'd better put my camera away. I don't know what to think anymore. December 13th. Barthélemy has been missing for 3 days. No one knows where he is. I tried talking to Cousin Pouce about it. He didn't respond.
To join the Free French forces in North Africa, dozens of young men left the Chantiers and tried to cross into Spain. At the same time, Germany, which had just suffered serious setbacks on the Russian front, demanded more workers from France. In February 1943, after trying to negotiate with the occupier, Laval introduced the STO, compulsory work service. All French men, born between 1920 and 1922, were liable for service in Germany. Those whose stint in the Chantiers de la Jeunesse was coming to an end would be sent to Germany. Increasing numbers rebelled and fled.
The woodcutting team is still hard at work on the plateau. But Larcher has gone. No one has seen him for 2 days. Fourcade, the mechanic, Legret, the baker, Piquant, his assistant, and Dampierre, who'd strike a warlike pose whenever I photographed him, vanished, gone. With the STO and the threat of being sent to Germany after our stint in the Chantiers, there are more and more empty beds in the dorm. On February 4th, the Germans even turned up at the camp. They came to arrest the Groupement's leader, Commander de Milleray. Apparently, he's suspected of helping men escape. But it was too late. He's vanished too. Others simply don't return from leave. Cousin Pouce even admitted to me that some of our leaders encourage this. Guys are given leave they didn't request and made to understand that they could take this opportunity not to come back. And me, what should I do? I'll be finished here in under 2 weeks at the end of February. The Spanish border is only a few kilometers away, but if I flee, my mother will die of worry. Cousin Pouce says the most sensible thing would be to re-enlist here for another 8 months since I have that option. That way, I won't leave and it will give me time to think.
Although the Germans stepped up patrols along France's southern boundary, they failed to stop members of the Chantiers de la Jeunesse reaching Spain. In March 1943, the Germans decided to move a number of groupements to the interior of the country. Jean Sarda's unit, the 27th Groupement, left the Ariège for Aigues-Perces, 30 kilometers from Vichy.
April 26th. Dear Mom, did you know that you automatically get a promotion if you re-enlist? I'm now a team leader with a beautiful command whistle that I put in my left pocket. We haven't stopped working since we got to Aigues-Perces. We had to start from scratch. A team even started cleaning the Buron, a river we have to clear up. A few reckless idiots jumped in despite the cold. We'll be sleeping in army tents for a few more days. The guys are like kids. If it wasn't for the foul climate of war around us, it could almost be a holiday camp. I enjoy being in this little corner of the Auvergne, and so does Victoire. She never stops yapping. With this damn censorship, I can't ask my parents for news of the situation. We're cut off from the world here. Fortunately, a few civilians work at the camp, mainly social workers and nurses. I get on well with Mathilde. She lives a few kilometers away in Châtel-Guyon. I go see her now and then, and she tells me what the papers are saying. The infirmary is crowded today, with newcomers having their medicals. I took a picture of a guy who looks like a hick and is scared stiff. The nurse spoke to him so gently, nothing doing. Can't spell his name, probably illiterate. Everyone heard, of course. The poor guy was as red as a beetroot. He stuttered. When she asked him if he could write, he hesitated and said he wasn't sure. Peals of laughter.
STO convoys left for Germany every day. Only farmers, some students and young men still in the Chantiers de la Jeunesse were exempt. But the Germans demanded more and more workers. They kept up the pressure and negotiated hard with the Vichy government.
Mathilde and the other nurses have spent the past 2 days looking after a few guys who caught their death of cold in the river. She says that the authorities are tracking down and punishing anyone who dodges the STO. I think about Larcher and the others, those who fled. Maybe I should have done the same when there was still time. I don't know anymore. Dear Mom, all is well. On Sunday morning, we paraded through the village at last, and we were a great success. Cousin Pouce was carrying our pennant, and when we passed the photography store where I'd dropped a few rolls of film the previous day, the owner waved wildly at us. We were given the afternoon off. We were allowed wine at lunch, and Randier overdid it. So much so that he kept making gaffes. Then, For the first time in his life, he tried to shave but couldn't find any hairs. The thing is, we were expecting a visit from Jeannette, the youngest nurse. A few of my buddies are keen on her, but as you well know, I only love you.
In spring 1943, the Laval government gave in to the Germans. It removed all STO exemptions. Everyone in the Chantiers de la Jeunesse, with the exception of supervisors, now had to go to Germany. The class of 1942, Jean Sarda's age group, was the most affected. Many still managed to escape, but 16,000 young men were sent to Germany.
Families came to Limoges station to say goodbye to their sons, brothers, or cousins. Before leaving the camp, I was only able to take this photo of supervisors doing their best to reassure us. Our leaders pretended to know what was awaiting us. They said everything will be fine, that over there we have to stick together in the spirit of the chantier and set an example, that we'll be home soon. On the station platform, I just had time to hand Cousin Pouce my last rolls of film, and then we were off. I gave him a letter for my parents too. The convoy set off and slowly disappeared in a puff of smoke. On the train, no one speaks. My neighbor leafs through Hardy, the Groupements magazine. The picture of Pétain visiting the chantier is still on the front cover. All I see now is an army without arms marching past a powerless old man. I stand by the window and watch France unfolding before me. In just a few hours, we'll be in Germany. I want to cry.
Of the 650,000 French citizens forced to work in the Reich's factories, tens of thousands perished, victims of the working conditions, the Nazi brutality, or Allied bombings. In Austria, near Wiener Neustadt, which was bombed 17 times, lies the grave of Jean Sarda.